Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, grateful for recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, drop me a comment, and by all means, share it with anyone who might get something out of it. Other than that, how was everybody today, guys? Happy Monday. Guys, I want to show you my new shirt. I went shopping yesterday, and I was really happy to see that I was able to buy some T-shirts that were made by veterans for veterans that need help. And not a big deal. It's a small thing, but you know what, guys? You can literally make everything you do have some sort of an intention behind it, and it just makes me happy. And more so that I actually care to make a difference and do things that matter, even the small things. And not saying we're saving the world, any one thing, but when we all do it together, it starts to make a difference. And these are the changes that make me happy with who I'm becoming today. And in order to start making those changes, I had to figure out who I was and accept what I was doing for what it really was, so that I then, in turn, gave me the freedom to start making these changes. And that's what we're going to talk about, guys, today. Acceptance and change is the title of the reading. Acceptance and change. Freedom to change seems to come after acceptance of ourselves. Fear and denial are the opposites of acceptance. None of us are perfect, even in our own eyes. All of us have certain traits that, given the chance, we'd like to change. We sometimes become overwhelmed when contemplating how far short we fall of our ideals. So overwhelmed that we fear that there is no chance of becoming the people we'd like to be. That's when our defense mechanism of denial kicks in, talking us into the opposite, taking us to the opposite extreme. Nothing about ourselves needs changing, we tell ourselves. So why worry? Neither extreme gives us the freedom to change. Whether we are long-time recovery members or brand new, the freedom to change is acquired by working the 12 steps. When we admit our powerlessness and the unmanageability of our lives, we counteract the lie that says we don't have to change. In coming to believe that a power greater than ourselves can help us, we lose the fear that we are damaged beyond repair. We realize we can change. We turn ourselves over to the care of God and tap the strength we need to make a thorough and honest examination of ourselves. We admit to God, ourselves, and others that what we have found. We accept the good and the bad within us. With this acceptance, we are then free to change. And the affirmation is, just for today, I want to change. I will counter fear and denial and find the acceptance needed to change. Guys, great reading. Sums it up really well. It's a great overview of the program, and it's a great, for anybody interested in it, it's a great way to get an idea of what it is we're about today, because it's in the very early stages of recovery. It's very, very important to figure out what it is that's holding you back. And I can tell you right now what is holding you back. It's the exact same thing that was holding me back, myself. That can be a hard brick to swallow in the early days, but guys, it's God's honest truth. We all have free will, and unfortunately, we oftentimes through maybe no fault of our own, maybe through circumstances, maybe through oppression, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, guys, we take our free will and we run it into the ground, and then we start excusing it and just compounding bad decisions, and we end up in addiction, and in over our heads. Our lives become unmanageable. It is what it is. When we admit that, we can, we have to start accepting that, because again, we have to admit it in order to accept it. We have to accept it in order to change it. If we don't believe it's happening, how in God's name are you going to change it, right? And that brings up another great point: God. Guys, we don't have the power, and no one of us is bigger than addiction. I know I certainly am, and I'm a very strong person. I'm physically strong. I'm mentally strong. Today, I'm spiritually strong. Addiction kicked my ass over and over for decades. I was never anywhere close strong enough to beat addiction. But it's funny, the minute I started to pray and ask God, and again, pray properly, not pray out of fear, not pray because I thought it was the right thing to do, but just honestly pray, because I couldn't take what I was doing anymore. I could not go on the way I was going on. I had finally been given the gift of desperation. So I started to honestly pray, and I asked God to let me walk in His light and to show me His path for me. And boom, immediately I started feeling something, and that was a gift right there. I hadn't felt anything, guys. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going through, and I'm coming up on a year now, which is still very early stages, but like I was numb and emotionless for so long. Like the emotions that I feel today can be overwhelming. Like guys, I get choked up at the smallest thing, and I'm not saying I break out crying, but you probably hear it in my voice all the time in the channel. I start talking about something I'm at, and it's usually I get choked up over seeing good things. When I do something good and I see that I'm having a positive effect in somebody else's life, literally it chokes me up today, and that's a gift. It's hard to get used to, and it's something I've been dealing with literally since the very beginning, and I understood that was both a gift and a test from God. Like, was I willing to accept that this is who I am? I feel very, very deeply. It's why I love deeply, and I do things. I put as much effort into things that I do as that I do because I feel deeply about things, and it's it's still something I'm getting used to, and it's still something I know as I work with my therapist and I continue my program, it will regulate itself and it'll balance itself up. But it's funny, excuse me, I just had 2 plates of spaghetti for lunch, guys. I had way too much. I skipped lunch all day, and I'm still getting over that cold, and yeah, I ate too much. God, excuse me. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I accept today that I have, that I have emotions, that I get choked up, and I actually kind of get a kick out of it now, and I'm learning to embrace that and understand and it's funny, in the beginning, I looked at it as such a detriment, like, why can't I just speak without, like, getting choked up over things that I'm not, like, overly upset about, and I understand today that it's a gift of having empathy and having insight into how I feel, and the fact that I'm looking into how things affect myself and how things affect other people. And it's a beautiful thing, and it like anything else, it takes some getting used to, and I've got to find a way to. Well, I've managed to, I get it, I don't let it stop me, because I've had to accept that is just part of who I am, and this is part of the new me, or not even, I shouldn't say the new, what is, it's new to me in so much that I've never acknowledged it before, because again, I numb myself out to the point where I didn't feel anything. And when you think about that, it kind of makes sense, guys. I literally went 30 years being the most robotic, emotionless person. I wasn't, passionate about anything. I didn't stand for anything, and I fell for everything. And all of a sudden now I'm trying to be this best version of myself, and be introspective and acknowledge my feelings, and give them credence, and then not let them own me, and not let them not work from an emotional overbalanced state, but pay attention to them, and then talk them out and see, why am I feeling this way? Where is this coming from? Is this an unresolved trauma? Is this just because I'm passionate about something? Like, I literally didn't know any of these things, and I'm still figuring them out. But I talk about them because I'm sure somebody out here can identify with it. And not only that, guys, this is how I make changes in my life. And I'm incredibly honored for the changes that I've made in my life so far. I mean, I love what God's done for me, and I love what God is doing through me. I love the fact that I'm learning to love the person I am, and that gives me just, more self-respect, a better sense of self-worth, and gives me more confidence to go out and do things and step up and try to be a leader in my life, and in my business, and in my meetings, and on my channel, like in every aspect of my life. The more I continue to do so, guys, I'm noticing the more comfortable I am doing so. I've always had very strong leadership qualities. I've been picked for everything throughout my life, whether it was my prison boot camp, in college. I was the shop foreman. Like, we were supposed to be changed every week, but it came so natural to me that they literally nominated me shop foreman for something like 72 consecutive weeks. I won awards for it. Like, I look back at these things, and like, I should have known that all along. I should have always led from that place. Every time I get into a job, no matter how shitty the job was, or how good the job was, very quickly I would rise to the ranks where I'd be running things, because I'm a natural born leader. And I don't say it to be cocky, and again, but paying attention to these things has allowed me to see that, and again, that gave me confidence to run my business. Okay, I always end up running everybody else's stuff. What's precluding me from doing this by myself? And then lo and behold, I took that leap of faith and I've done so. And I'm going to share something with you guys. I keep saying this is a month of milestones because, again, I think I'm like 15 days away at this point from my 1 year mark. And I can't wait. And guys, the biggest thing is because I can finally raise my hand in a meeting, and when they say, anybody with a year or more, raise your hand to show the program works. Oh, I can't wait to raise my hand for that, guys. I'm honored for that. Like, I love that. I love putting time together. I love that my recovery has become the most important thing in my life, because that is something I never understood the power in, right? By allowing that to be the case, by making that the case, it's allowing everything else in my life to fall into place in ways I never dreamed possible, without me having to focus on one thing and ramming my head through the wall at the detriment to everything else in my life, because that's what I would do. I would put all my focus on one goal and burn everything else down around me from neglect. Today, I sit back and I try to be balanced. I make time to go to the gym in the morning. I meet with customers. I make sure I make time for my recovery groups, my therapist sessions, my doctors, my dermatologists. I take surveys for those people. Like, I try to engage my world in every way, shape, or form. I was talking about the homeless kid I met yesterday. I made 3 phone calls on his behalf today. I'm hoping I may have something lined up. I gotta go find him. I have his phone number, so I'll go find him as soon as I do. And that made me feel amazing. Like, when I realized there's a good chance I'm actually gonna be able to get a job. Oh my God, I was choked up over. Like, I love the idea of doing that, guys. I'm making so many changes in my life at such a rate that blows my mind. But I can only do these things because back in day one, I accepted where I was at, and it was a tough acceptance. I had to accept that everything I was doing was wrong. I had to accept that a decent paying job was a bad place for me, and then walk away. And guys, you know what? This cuts back to what I was trying to say before this last tangent. The latest milestone that I realized, and I think it literally just came to me today. I have saved more money this year than I made last year, and I was working full time the entire year last year. Like, that's amazing. And again, it's not, not that I'm balling, but no, like, from where I was. And that was one of my better years because I was at least, capable of working the entire year. Guys, I have put more money aside to buy a house with than I made the entire year last year. You know what that tells me? I made a good change instead of going back to a job, because God put that in my head for a reason. Excuse me. Knowing I couldn't go back to that job because it was a dangerous place, He's rewarded me for taking that gigantic leap of faith. That was one of my defining moments of this year, because it required me to confront my former boss and tell him, I give him my notice, and I have, at the time, confrontation and people pleasing was an issue I was having. So I had to stand up and look him in the eye and say, listen, I can't do this. And then on top of that, my biggest supporter, Doug, who I owed all that money to, was like, just work your ass off for Frank. He's got plenty of work, and just get me paid off. And I had to call him and say, Doug, I know you just want me to get you paid off, but I can't work for him. You've done so much for me. I promise you I'm going to pay you, but I have to do this because you know his situation. I can't stay sober there. And I was terrified of that, guys. I'm like, oh my God, I could lose it. He's going to throw me out of here. I won't have the truck, this, that, the other. I was driving Doug's truck at the time. And guys, because I was honest with him, he's like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you for saying that. He's like, I had a feeling that was the case. You're better than that. I'll help you get work. And 2 days later, he sold me my pickup truck, so I wasn't borrowing his truck. And life has just moved forward in the most beautiful ways, guys. But it's only because I've turned my will over to my higher power. I've honestly and thoroughly looked at my behaviors, my thoughts, my actions, who I was, what I was doing. And then I've turned that over to God and asked God for His help in showing me the changes that I need to make. But they only became because I accepted what I was doing, and I accepted what was wrong, what was right, what I wanted to keep with me, what I wanted to let go. And then I've been just leading from the things that I wanted to keep and expanding upon them. And guys, it's a beautiful thing. Like, again, I tell you all the time, it's not about my material things, but being that I've owned a business, it's a great milestone. It's a great way to look at my business and see, is this worth what I'm doing? When I realized that regardless of everything I've paid off and everything else, and buying my truck and renting my garage and everything else, I've still managed to save more than I grossed last year. Not net, gross. And that's fucking beautiful, guys. It's amazing. This program works. The more you work your program, the better the program works for you. And then, never mind the fact that I've got all these beautiful relationships, all my friends in my AA, people I talk to here, people I talk to on TikTok, people at my NA meetings, this whole incredible recovery network that I've been invited in to be a part of and then allowed to be of service in, gaining more confidence. I would have such trouble. Like I couldn't script, and it seemed like I don't script these things. I do my readings and I talk honestly about it, right? So I used to get I was so insecure about when I would speak at a meeting that I'd get all And now I just calmly and openly speak what comes off the top of my head, because it's the most honest thing going. Before I can even put a spin on it, I just let it flow. And people come up to me after the meetings every time and say, "Wow, I love when you speak. I identify so well with you. You speak so well." I don't necessarily see it, but other people do, and it means people are getting something out of it. And then again, makes me feel good about who I am. Guys, it's absolutely beautiful, right? It's not always easy to start to gain acceptance for who we are, but it's an incredibly important first step. We have to accept that our lives have become unmanageable. In order to admit that our lives have become unmanageable, we have to accept that there is a loving power greater than ourselves that wants better for us before we can ask honestly of that power into our life and ask for its help. If you don't believe it's there, how are you going to ask it honestly for help? Acceptance has got to be number one in so many different areas. And then once you accept that, then you can honestly take stock of it and then start making changes in anything. Guys, you can do and be anything you want, but you can only do so when we stop fooling ourselves and stop lying to ourselves and stop just bullshitting about our situation, about ourselves, about who we are, what we're about, what we've been doing, who we're wrong and who we're not. We have to be honest about it we have to accept it in order to change it. There's a reason, guys, I don't make these readings. I mean, I wish I could take credit for the knowledge and the wisdom that I'm getting to impart and share with others every day. I'd be, wow, I wish. But fortunately, we have the benefit of all these people's shared experience that have put these steps together for us. That they're there for a reason. They've worked for literally millions of people. They will work for me. They will work for you. Guys, work your program. Learn the power of surrender. Be willing to accept honestly what's going on, who you are, what you've done. And then you have the freedom to make any and every change you would like to make and be anything and everything you'd ever want to be. Guys, that's a video for today. Thank you so much for being here with me. Always remember, God loves you. I love you. We'll see you in the next one.